David saves 20% of every paycheck. Has done it for years without missing a single month. Marcus saves the exact same percentage. Same discipline, same consistency, same commitment. They both feel like they're doing the right thing. They both feel like they're ahead of most people their age. They're both wrong. Not because they're lazy, not because they don't care, but because neither of them ever asked where the money goes after it leaves their checking account. When you run the actual numbers over 15 years, the gap between what David ends up with and what Marcus ends up with isn't small. It isn't a rounding error. It's the difference between retiring when you want to and working until your body tells you to stop. Here's what makes this comparison fair. David and Marcus are both 38 years old. Both earn $95,000 a year. Both take home roughly the same amount after taxes. Neither one inherited money, got lucky on a stock, or had someone hand them a head start. They started from zero at the same time, in the same financial position, with the same monthly savings rate. If you put their bank statements side by side in year one, you'd struggle to tell them apart. The only thing that separates them is 7 decisions. Not 7 years of grinding. Not 7 extra hours of work every week. 7 decisions about where the money goes, in what order it moves, and under what conditions it sits and grows. Those decisions don't feel dramatic when you make them. They don't come with a warning label. They don't show up on any monthly statement as a line that says, "This choice is costing you." They just quietly compound in the background, month after month, year after year, until one day the numbers are so far apart that no amount of catch-up can close the gap. David made 7 common decisions. Marcus made 7 different ones. By the time they both hit 60, those 7 decisions are the entire difference between a man with options and a man with obligations. Section 1. The first rule has nothing to do with how much you save. It has everything to do with when. David has good intentions. Every month, he tells himself the same thing: pay the bills, cover the expenses, handle whatever comes up, and put whatever is left into savings. It sounds reasonable. It sounds responsible. And for the first few months, it even works. But then the car needs new tires. Then the kids need something for school. Then a work trip comes up and the expenses don't get reimbursed until next month. Life doesn't wait for the end of the month, and savings that depend on what's left over are always the first thing to disappear when life shows up. Some months David saves $800. Some months he saves $200. Some months he opens his savings app on the last day of the month, and the number is exactly where it was 30 days ago. He tells himself he'll make it up next month. He rarely does. Marcus does one thing differently. On payday, before he pays a single bill, before he buys a single thing, before he even looks at his balance, a fixed amount moves automatically from his checking account into a separate savings account. He set it up once, in about 15 minutes, and hasn't thought about it since.
Marcus,
the
we
money
need
is
to talk
gone
about
before
these
his
returns.
brain has a chance to
David,
find a
20%
reason to
is
keep
fair
it.
for my risk. 9%
He doesn't
is too
save
low.
what's
I'm
left
not
after
happy.
spending.
Fine.
He
Let's
spends
split the
what's
difference.
left after
Agreed.
saving. That one shift in sequence changes everything. By the end of year 1, the difference between them is noticeable but not shocking. By the end of year 3, David has saved roughly $9,000. Marcus has saved just over $28,000. Same income. Same savings rate on paper. The gap exists entirely because one of them made saving automatic and the other made it optional. Here's the hard truth most financial advice skips over. Willpower runs out. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline sounds good in theory, but it competes every single month with rent, with stress, with kids, with life. A system beats discipline every time because a system doesn't have feelings. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't negotiate. Automate the transfer. Do it on payday. Do it before you see the money. That single decision is rule 1, and everything else in this video builds on top of it. Section 2. David always thought he was doing well. He made good money, paid his bills on time, and tried to save what was left at the end of every month. In his head, he believed he was saving around 20% of his income. That sounded responsible. It sounded smart. But one night, after feeling stressed about money again, he finally opened his bank statements and added everything up. The truth hit him fast. After taxes, his yearly take-home pay from his $95,000 salary was around $72,000. Over the past 12 months, the total amount he actually moved into savings and investments was only about $6,500. That was not 20%. It was 9%. The number shocked him because his life felt expensive enough to justify more. Random food orders, small upgrades, monthly subscriptions, clothes he forgot he bought, and weekend spending quietly ate the difference. None of it felt huge in the moment. Together, it destroyed his savings rate. Marcus looked at money differently. Years ago, he learned one simple rule. Your savings rate matters more than almost everything else. Not your income. Not the market. Not even your investment returns in the beginning. The amount you keep is what changes your future. So Marcus calculated his number once and built his whole system around it. He automated transfers every payday and treated saving like a fixed bill. He never waited to see what was left. He paid his future first. At the same $95,000 salary, Marcus saved 20% of his take-home pay. Around $14,400 each year. The gap between them looked small at first. About $7,900 per year. But time turned that gap into something massive. After 10 years, David's 9% savings rate would grow to around $86,000 without investment growth. Marcus would have around $144,000. That is a difference of nearly $58,000 from one number alone. And with investing, the gap becomes even larger because the extra money has more time to compound. Most men spend years chasing higher income while ignoring the number that truly controls their freedom. A man who saves 20% on an average income will usually build more wealth than a man who earns double but saves nothing. Income helps. But your savings rate decides whether money stays with you or disappears forever. Section 3. David believed his savings account was the responsible choice. His bank told him it was safe, stable, and easy to access. So every month, he moved money into the same checking account he had used since college and felt good seeing the balance slowly grow. What he never checked was the interest rate. 0.01%. That meant his money was almost standing still. While prices around him kept rising every year, his savings barely moved at all. The account looked safe on the surface, but over time, inflation quietly reduced the buying power of every dollar sitting there. Marcus understood something different. The account your money sits in matters almost as much as the amount you save. So he gave every dollar a job. His emergency fund stayed in a high-yield savings account earning over 4% interest. The money was still safe and easy to reach, but now it was growing on its own every single month. Then he placed the rest of his long-term savings into tax-advantaged investment accounts where his money could grow faster while lowering the amount lost to taxes. The difference sounded boring at first. Just account selection. Nothing exciting. But over 15 years, that decision changed everything. If David left $50,000 in his checking account earning 0.01%, it would grow to only around $50,075 after 15 years. Almost no change at all. Marcus placed the same $50,000 into accounts designed to actually work for him. Even at a simple 4% yearly return, that money would grow to over $90,000 during the same period. That is a gap of nearly $40,000 created by one decision most people make in less than 10 minutes when opening a bank account. David spent years trying to earn more money while his savings quietly lost value in the background. Marcus focused on building systems where money could grow without extra effort from him. Most people think saving money is enough. It is not. Where your money lives decides whether it grows, survives, or slowly dies while you are too distracted to notice. Section 4. David told himself he had an emergency fund. Technically, he was right. There was money sitting in his checking account, mixed together with bill payments, food spending, and random online purchases. Some months the balance looked strong. Other months it dropped lower than he expected. Twice this year, he used part of it for things that were never real emergencies. One was a vacation he felt he deserved. The other was a new phone he bought after seeing a discount online. Each time, he promised himself he would replace the money later. He never fully did. Marcus treated emergency savings differently. He did not see it as boring money sitting on the side. He saw it as a weapon protecting everything else he was building. He calculated 4 months of fixed expenses down to the dollar. Rent, food, utilities, insurance, gas, basic needs only. Then he placed that amount into a separate high-yield savings account with one simple label, emergency fund. He never touched it unless life truly forced him to. At first, David thought Marcus was being too careful, too defensive, too afraid to take risks. But Marcus understood something most people miss. An emergency fund is not just protection against bad luck. It protects your investments from your own panic. Without cash available, every problem becomes expensive. A job loss becomes credit card debt. A medical bill becomes a personal loan. A broken car becomes money pulled out of investments at the worst possible time. That last part destroys people quietly. When markets fall, investors without emergency savings are often forced to sell their investments just to survive. They lock in losses, lose future growth, and spend years trying to recover. Not because they made bad investments, but because they had no cash buffer between life and their portfolio. Marcus avoided that trap completely. When unexpected problems appeared, his investments stayed untouched. They kept growing while other people sold theirs in fear. That is why his emergency fund was offensive, not defensive. It gave him the power to stay calm when life became expensive. Most men think wealth is built by making aggressive moves. But many times, wealth is simply the result of surviving hard moments without destroying your future in the process. Section 5. David believed he was doing the smart thing. He signed up for his company's 401k plan years ago and contributed just enough to get the employer match. Around $200 each month. His company added extra money, and that felt like a win. Whenever people talked about retirement accounts, he tuned out because he assumed he already had it handled. In his mind, the problem was solved. Marcus looked deeper. He learned that tax-advantaged accounts were not just retirement tools. They were systems designed to help wealth grow faster by protecting money from taxes for years. So he treated them seriously. He maxed out his 401k contributions every year. Then he opened a Roth IRA and invested there too. He understood when to use pre-tax accounts, and when post-tax accounts made more sense based on income and future taxes. David never learned any of that. Not because it was too hard. Because he never made a decision at all. That choice became expensive. Over 20 years, David contributed around $2,400 per year into his 401k. Assuming normal market growth, his account could grow to around $120,000. Marcus contributed closer to the yearly maximum. Between his 401k and Roth IRA, he invested over $25,000 per year into tax-advantaged accounts. With the same market returns over the same 20 years, his investments could grow to over $1 million. The gap looks shocking, but the hidden part is even worse. Taxes. David invested extra money in regular taxable accounts without thinking about the long-term cost. Every dividend payment created taxes. Every profitable sale created taxes. Year after year, small pieces of his growth disappeared before they could compound. Marcus delayed or avoided many of those taxes completely through protected accounts. His money stayed invested longer. More of his gains remained untouched. Over decades, that difference became enormous. This is why tax strategy matters so much. Not because taxes are exciting. Because compounding works best when nothing interrupts it. David thought he was being responsible by doing the minimum. But every year he avoided learning the system, he quietly paid more money than necessary. Not as a punishment. Just as math. The government already created legal systems that reward long-term investing. Marcus learned how to use them. David ignored them and paid the price every single year without realizing it. Section 6. When David got a $12,000 raise at age 41, he felt like he finally had room to breathe. For the first few weeks, he planned to save most of it. He even told himself this raise would change everything financially. But slowly, his life expanded around the new income without him noticing. First came the upgraded car with the larger monthly payment. Then the kitchen renovation his family had talked about for years. After that came a club membership, more dinners out, and higher monthly spending that quickly became normal. Within 8 months, the raise was gone. Not because David was reckless. Because lifestyle inflation works quietly. The more money people make, the more their life adjusts to consume it. Marcus received the exact same raise that year. But before the first paycheck even arrived, he changed his automatic transfers. 70% of the extra money went directly into savings and investments. Only the remaining 30% became spending money. His lifestyle improved a little. But his future improved much more. Marcus understood something most people never protect: savings rate defense. As income rises, your savings rate must rise too. Otherwise, every raise simply creates a more expensive version of the same financial life. Over the next decade, both men received 3 major raises. David's income kept climbing, but his spending climbed at the same speed. Bigger payments replaced every increase before his investments had time to grow. By age 55, his savings had grown slowly despite earning far more money than he did in his younger years. Marcus protected his savings rate through every raise. Each income increase pushed more money into investments instead of new monthly bills. The math became massive over time. By age 55, Marcus had invested hundreds of thousands more dollars simply because he refused to let lifestyle growth match income growth. With compounding added, the gap between the two men was no longer small. It was life-changing. David wondered why higher income never seemed to create freedom. Marcus understood the answer years earlier. More income does not automatically build wealth. What matters is how much of each raise survives long enough to compound. Most people think financial success comes from earning more. But many high earners stay trapped because every new dollar immediately gets assigned to a more expensive lifestyle. Marcus made sure his raises bought ownership, not just upgrades. Section 7. David believed saving money was about discipline. Every month, he planned to move money into savings after paying bills. Some months he did it well. Other months life got in the way. Work stress, surprise expenses, vacations, family problems, or simple exhaustion pushed the decision to later. Later usually became never. He did not fail because he was lazy. He failed because willpower changes from day to day. Some mornings people feel focused. Other mornings they just want life to feel easy for a few hours. Marcus stopped depending on motivation years ago. One Saturday afternoon, he automated his entire financial system and removed almost every money decision from his life. The moment his paycheck arrived, the system moved money automatically. First, a percentage went directly into his 401k before he even saw it. Next, automatic transfers sent money into his Roth IRA and investment accounts. Then a smaller amount moved into his high-yield emergency fund until it reached the target number. After that, his fixed bills were paid from a separate checking account built only for monthly expenses. Finally, whatever remained became spending money. Every dollar already had instructions before Marcus touched it. That is why automation works so well. It removes emotion from the process. David still made saving decisions every month. Marcus made his decisions once. Over 10 years, the difference became huge. David missed contributions during stressful months. Sometimes he skipped investing for weeks. Other times he spent money first and promised himself he would save later. Small missed deposits did not seem dangerous in the moment, but compounding punished inconsistency hard. Marcus invested every single month without interruption. Bull market or crash, busy month or stressful season, tired or motivated, the system kept moving money exactly where it needed to go. The missed contributions from David's system added up to tens of thousands of lost dollars over a decade. But the real damage came from lost compound growth. Money not invested early never gets those years back. Most men think successful people have more discipline. Often, they simply have better systems. Marcus understood that real life is messy. People get distracted. Energy disappears. Motivation changes. So he built a financial system that worked even when he did not feel like thinking about money at all. That system quietly built wealth while David kept trying to win the same battle manually every single month. Section 8. By now, the pattern should be obvious. Marcus did not build wealth because he was smarter than David. He did not work twice as hard. He did not predict the market better. Most of the time, he simply made fewer bad financial decisions because his system was built correctly from the start. That is the real lesson behind all 7 rules. Wealth is usually not about sacrifice. It is about sequence, structure, and reducing the number of decisions you must make every month. David depended on memory, motivation, and good intentions. Marcus depended on systems. That single difference changed almost every result in their financial lives. A better savings rate gave Marcus more money to invest. Better account choices helped his money grow faster. A real emergency fund protected his investments during hard times. Tax-advantaged accounts reduced the amount lost to taxes. Savings rate defense stopped lifestyle inflation from stealing raises. Automation made the entire system continue working even when life became stressful. None of these steps were complicated alone. But together, they created a machine that quietly built wealth year after year. Most people think financial freedom comes from one huge moment. A massive investment. A lucky business idea. A sudden jump in income. Usually, it comes from smaller systems repeated for a long time without interruption. That is why the men who retire with real choices often do not look special from the outside. They simply built structures that protected them from their own bad habits long enough for compounding to do its work. This week, there are only 3 things you need to do. First, calculate your real savings rate down to the decimal. Not what you think you save. What actually moved into savings and investments over the past 12 months. Second, automate one transfer you still do manually. Even a small automatic investment is stronger than a large plan you keep delaying. Third, check where your emergency fund is sitting right now. If it is parked in an account earning almost nothing, understand that your money may be quietly losing value every single year. Most men never take these steps because they seem small. But small systems repeated over decades create massive outcomes. And in the end, the question was never whether you could afford to save more. It was always whether your system was designed to make saving automatic, or make spending inevitable.